Well, in today's instant gratification society, patience can seem like an outdated ideal, but today's guest joins us to share God's.
The 2021 family retreat, held at a serene beach house, was meant to offer a moment of bonding and relaxation for Joni Lamb and her family. Instead, it became the epicenter of a controversy that fractured the family and led to public scrutiny. This single event has since unraveled into a complex web of allegations, trust issues, and media attention, highlighting the pressures and challenges of managing personal relationships in the spotlight. The incident that divided a family. The tragic series of events that engulfed the Lamb family began with an alarming allegation involving Pete, a family member, and Joanna's granddaughter. It was during a family retreat that the incident occurred. Pete was reportedly found alone in a shared bedroom with the young girl, a situation that immediately raised concerns for Jonathan and Susie Lamb, the child's parents. The mere fact that Pete was in such close proximity to the child raised red flags for the parents, who felt an overwhelming sense of violation. They were further disturbed by what they perceived as Joanna Lamb's mishandling of the situation. Rather than immediately addressing the gravity of the incident, Joanna reportedly urged Jonathan and Susie to resolve the issue quietly through family discussion and prayer, and discouraged involving authorities. The couple felt betrayed by this response, believing that Joanna prioritized preserving the family's reputation over ensuring the safety of their daughter. To make matters worse, after the young girl disclosed details of the event, her demeanor shifted drastically. Described as a lockbox by her parents, the child became emotionally withdrawn and stopped speaking about the incident entirely after a private conversation with Joanna. This only fueled suspicions that Joanna had unintentionally or deliberately silenced her granddaughter, either by coercion or manipulation. Joanna's response: misunderstanding or misjudgment. For her part, Joanna Lamb vehemently denied any wrongdoing and sought to clarify her actions. In a series of public video statements, she expressed her heartbreak and sorrow over the accusations made by her son and daughter-in-law. Joanna maintained that the incident had been misunderstood and blown out of proportion, asserting that her sole intent was to handle the situation with love and care. She stated that the priority was to resolve the matter peacefully and privately within the family, in line with their shared Christian faith. Prayer and open dialogue were emphasized as the methods she believed would restore peace. However, Jonathan and Susie saw Joanna's approach as dismissive, further intensifying their feelings of betrayal. They felt that she was not only minimizing the severity of the situation, but also undermining their concerns as parents. Eventually, the couple felt compelled to take a stronger stance to protect their children. They placed strict boundaries on Pete, forbidding him from being alone with their children and restricting his access to their home. These measures, they explained, were necessary to restore a sense of safety and trust within their family. Media coverage and renewed scrutiny. As the internal family conflict deepened, it eventually became a public spectacle. The Roy's Report, an investigative journalism outlet, began covering the allegations. Initially, authorities dismissed the incident in 2021, primarily due to the child's refusal to speak about what had occurred. However, a 2022 report from a counselor prompted Texas authorities to reopen the investigation. This development rekindled public interest in the case and attracted heightened media scrutiny, which only added to the Lamb family's turmoil. Joanna, who had always prided herself on maintaining a clean public image, found herself caught in the storm of negative publicity. She accused the media of sensationalizing the situation, claiming that their reporting misrepresented the events and worsened the divide within the family. Daystar Television Network, with which Joanna had close ties, issued demands for retractions from media outlets, accusing them of spreading fabricated claims about her and the incident. Financial accountability under fire. As if the family's internal turmoil weren't enough, Joanna Lamb faced increasing public scrutiny over her financial dealings. In 2023, investigative journalists uncovered expense reports that revealed Joanna had charged $100,000 to her Daystar credit card for a honeymoon trip to Los Cabos, Mexico, with her new husband, Doug Weiss. The use of ministry funds for a personal trip raised ethical questions about financial stewardship within Daystar Television Network, a multi-million-dollar Christian broadcasting empire. Joanna, when confronted with the allegations, vehemently denied using ministry funds for the honeymoon, explaining that she had reimbursed Daystar for the expenses and had used points accumulated on her corporate credit card for the trip. Despite these explanations, the controversy persisted, with many questioning the transparency and ethical management of finances within Christian organizations, particularly those of such substantial size and influence. Termination and allegations of intimidation. The Lamb family's troubles came to a head in November 2023, when Jonathan Lamb, who had been serving as the vice president of Daystar Television Network, was unexpectedly terminated from his position. According to Jonathan, his dismissal was not merely the result of professional performance, but was directly linked to his attempts to uncover the truth about the alleged abuse involving his daughter and to address the internal tensions that arose after Joanna's remarriage. Daystar justified Jonathan's termination by citing a 15-month performance review and the failure to meet an improvement plan. However, Jonathan and Susie viewed the decision as a punitive response to their efforts to address the family's deepening crisis. Matters took a darker turn when Jonathan claimed that he and his wife became targets of intimidation tactics, including being followed by a private investigator. In a dramatic video shared on social media, Jonathan confronted a man who admitted to surveilling them but refused to disclose who had hired him. These developments fueled suspicions that Daystar and its leadership were attempting to silence the couple through coercion and surveillance. Susie and Jonathan, facing unimaginable struggles. Susie and Jonathan were deeply shaken by the personal toll these events took on their family. They were steadfast in their belief that the intimidation tactics and surveillance were part of a larger effort to force them into submission. The private investigators' presence only intensified their concerns about Daystar's methods of dealing with dissent. Despite the harassment, Jonathan remained resolute, interpreting the surveillance as evidence that God was guiding their efforts to expose alleged misconduct within the organization. For the Lambs, their fight was no longer just about personal vindication. It had evolved into a battle for justice, transparency, and the protection of their family. The discovery of the tracker on Jonathan's company vehicle marked a pivotal moment in the conflict. Jonathan, who had access to Daystar's security footage, decided to review the video feeds after noticing unusual activity around his car. The footage revealed Shannon Kelly, the head of security at Daystar, opening the trunk of Jonathan's car and placing something inside. This revelation further escalated tensions between Jonathan and his mother, Joanna Lamb, who served as Daystar's president. The breaking point: tracker incident and family rift. The tracker incident was the breaking point that led Jonathan to confront the reality of what was happening within his family and the organization. Just days after this discovery, he was informed by Denise Boggs, a trusted source, that an earlier investigation into the alleged abuse had not exonerated Pete. The investigation, conducted by a forensic counselor in August 2021, had been prematurely terminated by Marcus and Joanna Lamb, preventing the counselor from thoroughly interviewing the accused family member. This information devastated Jonathan, who realized that his parents had not been forthcoming with him regarding the details of the investigation. The premature termination of the investigation was a turning point for Jonathan and Susie. It shifted their focus from attempting to preserve their positions within Daystar to seeking justice for their daughter. The Lambs began to believe that the organization had tried to cover up the truth, and they were determined to expose what they saw as systemic issues within Daystar's leadership. The aftermath: seeking justice and facing retaliation. In response to the revelation that the investigation had been cut short, Jonathan and Susie took further steps to protect their daughter. They sought professional counseling for their child, which led to a report being filed with Child Protective Services, CPS. The involvement of CPS prompted law enforcement to reopen their investigation into the alleged abuse, further exacerbating the tension between the Lamb family and Daystar leadership. Daystar's response was swift and punitive, In the wake of Jonathan's actions, several members of Susie's extended family who were employed at Daystar faced retaliatory measures. On November 30th, 2023, Susie's mother, Tanya Cigar, was abruptly fired from her position at the ministry. Shortly afterward, Susie's father, Jai Saga, experienced a salary cut of $20,000 and was demoted. By mid-April 2024, he was also dismissed from his role. The retaliation continued as Susie herself faced a substantial reduction in her salary, while Jonathan's role at Daystar was downgraded from vice president to manager. His salary was slashed by $100,000, and he was removed from his company car and placed on a performance improvement plan. The Lamb family saga, a battle for justice and accountability. The story of the Lamb family and Daystar television network has been one of public spectacle, personal turmoil, and a relentless pursuit of justice. What began as an internal family conflict over serious allegations of abuse has spiraled into a larger battle involving accusations of financial mismanagement, intimidation tactics, and cover-ups, with the Lamb family at the heart of the controversy. Their fight for truth has captivated the public and drawn media scrutiny, making their struggle much more than a family dispute. It has become a cautionary tale of power, accountability, and the dangers of unchecked authority within faith-based organizations. The incident that divided the family. At the heart of the Lamb family dispute was an alleged incident that took place during a family retreat in 2021. The incident involved Pete, a relative, and Joanna Lamb's granddaughter. The child was reportedly alone in a shared bedroom with Pete, which immediately raised serious concerns for the child's parents, Jonathan and Susie Lamb. They considered the situation to be a significant violation of trust. The parents felt that Joanna had minimized the severity of the situation and urged them to handle the matter privately, without involving authorities. This only deepened their suspicion and sense of betrayal. Jonathan and Susie felt that Joanna's actions were more focused on protecting Pete and maintaining the family's reputation rather than ensuring the safety and well-being of the granddaughter. After an emotional conversation with Joanna, the young girl, who had initially disclosed details of the incident, became withdrawn and stopped speaking about it altogether. Her parents described her as becoming a lockbox after Joanna's intervention, leading them to believe that Joanna's involvement had silenced the child, intentionally or otherwise. Joanna Lamb, for her part, has consistently denied any wrongdoing. She has publicly stated that the incident was a misunderstanding that was blown out of proportion and that her actions were motivated by love and a desire to handle the matter peacefully. However, for Jonathan and Susie, her approach seemed dismissive and inadequate. They eventually imposed strict boundaries, prohibiting Pete from being alone with their children and banning him from their home entirely. Media scrutiny and the reopened investigation. The family's private struggles began to spill into the public domain when the Roy's Report, an investigative journalism outlet, began covering the allegations. Although authorities initially dismissed the claims in 2021 due to the child's refusal to speak further about the incident, a 2022 counsellor's report led to the reopening of the case. This prompted renewed scrutiny of the Lamb family's situation, which only intensified when Daystar's leadership came under fire. Joanna Lamb criticised what she saw as sensationalist reporting, claiming that the media had misrepresented the situation and exacerbated the family divisions. Daystar Television Network, which is closely associated with the Lamb family, went as far as demanding retractions from media outlets and threatening legal action. These actions only served to heighten the public's interest in the case and deepen the rift between the Lambs and their family. Financial scandals and allegations of mismanagement. As the media spotlight intensified, a new controversy emerged that would further damage Daystar's reputation. Reports surfaced about questionable financial practices, specifically concerning Joanna Lamb's 2023 honeymoon to Los Cabos, Mexico, which was allegedly paid for with ministry funds. Journalists discovered that Joanna had charged approximately $100,000 to her Daystar credit card for the trip. while Joanna denied using ministry funds for the vacation, clarifying that she had reimbursed Daystar and used credit card points. The incident raised concerns about financial accountability within the organization. This revelation brought back memories of similar scandals that had plagued Daystar in the past, particularly a 2010 incident that involved accusations of intimidation and cover-ups. Back then, Daystar faced claims of using its power to silence whistleblowers and critics. For the Lambs, the resurfacing of these allegations seemed to suggest a troubling pattern of secrecy and retaliation within the network. The tracker incident and escalating intimidation tactics. In September 2024, the Lambs' already strained relationship with Daystar reached new heights of tension when they discovered a private investigator following them while they were driving with their children. Confronting the investigator, they learned that he had been hired to track them, though he refused to disclose who had hired him. The Lambs strongly suspected that Daystar was behind the surveillance. However, despite repeated inquiries, the network did not provide answers, and this only fueled the Lambs' belief that they were being targeted. The private investigator incident was followed by the termination of Jonathan Lamb's employment at Daystar. The timing of his dismissal, on a Saturday rather than the typical weekday, added to his suspicion that it was an attempt to intimidate him. Jonathan felt that this was a calculated move by Daystar to unsettle him and silence his efforts to expose the truth. This incident marked a key moment in the escalating conflict, which became characterized by a pattern of intimidation, legal threats, and retaliatory measures. Legal defenses and allegations of a smear campaign Joanna Lamb and Daystar's legal team have vigorously defended the network and its leadership. On a live episode of Joni's Table Talk, Joni dismissed the allegations against her family as fabrications intended to destroy the Lamb family. She singled out journalist Julie Ross, who had been investigating Daystar, accusing her of being biased and sensationalistic. Daystar's attorney, Michael DeAnderson, followed up with demands for Ross to retract her reports, threatening legal action if she did not comply. He claimed that the Lambs' accusations were part of a smear campaign designed to tarnish Daystar's reputation and discredit the network's leadership. While Daystar's legal team aimed to discredit the Lambs, internal audio recordings surfaced that seemed to corroborate some of the Lambs' claims. These recordings revealed private conversations that suggested Daystar's leadership prioritized the network's public image over transparency and accountability. The controversy over these recordings only intensified the public scrutiny on Daystar, the resignation of Joni Lamb, and the weight of public scrutiny. In a highly emotional broadcast, Joni Lamb publicly announced her decision to step down from her position as president of Daystar Television Network. Her resignation was seen as a watershed moment for both Daystar and the Lamb family. Joni, visibly emotional, reflected on the immense pressure she had been under and how the ongoing controversy had impacted her and her family. She spoke about the sacrifices she and her late husband, Marcus Lamb, had made to build Daystar, but acknowledged that the recent scandals had taken a toll on her well-being and her ability to lead. The decision to step down was not an easy one for Joni. As the face of Daystar for many years, she had been a symbol of strength and faith for the network's supporters. However, the weight of the allegations against Daystar, combined with the personal fallout from the family rift, made it clear that she could no longer continue in her role. Joni's resignation marked the end of an era for Daystar Television Network, and it raised new questions about the future of the organization, a family torn apart and the road ahead. For Jonathan and Susie Lamb, the situation has been a deeply personal struggle. Their efforts to expose what they believe to be the truth have come at a high emotional cost. The pain of seeing their family divided and their faith-based organization mired in scandal has left them grappling with feelings of betrayal, loss, and a desire for justice. Despite the overwhelming odds, the Lambs remain determined to see their quest for accountability through. For them, the fight is not only about protecting their family, but also about ensuring that the truth is heard and that Daystar is held accountable for its actions. Their pursuit of justice has become a symbol of the importance of integrity, even in the face of powerful opposition. As the story continues to unfold, the Lamb family faces an uncertain future. With new legal battles on the horizon and mounting public scrutiny, the road ahead is fraught with challenges. The question remains, will the truth ever fully come to light, or will it be obscured by legal maneuvering and media manipulation? For now, the Lambs' struggle remains a poignant reminder of the importance of transparency, accountability, and faith in the face of overwhelming adversity. The Lamb family's journey is far from over. The emotional toll of the conflict continues to shape their lives, and the outcome of their efforts to expose alleged wrongdoing at Daystar will resonate for years to come. The fate of Daystar Television Network, once a beacon of Christian broadcasting, hangs in the balance as it faces the weight of public scrutiny, legal challenges, and a family torn apart by betrayal and a quest for truth, gratitude, and hope. Joni Lamb's farewell and Daystar's uncertain future. Joni Lamb's emotional farewell address marked a significant turning point in the saga surrounding Daystar Television Network. As she stepped down from her role as the network's president, Joni took the opportunity to reflect on the immense support she had received from Daystar's viewers and supporters during one of the most challenging periods of her life. With a voice tinged with emotion, she expressed her profound gratitude, acknowledging the unwavering faith that had sustained her family throughout the turmoil. "The last thing I ever wanted to do was disappoint our viewers or let anyone down," she said, her voice breaking. "But I know that sometimes stepping back is the best thing we can do." Her decision to resign was not taken lightly. In the emotional broadcast, Joni spoke candidly about the strain that the ongoing controversies had placed on her and her family. The weight of the allegations and the public scrutiny had taken a toll on her well-being. Yet, despite the challenges, she conveyed a deep sense of gratitude for the loyal supporters who had stood by Daystar's mission and the Lamb family. Her parting words emphasized that her faith in God remained unwavering, even as she stepped down from her leadership role. Acknowledging the legacy of Daystar, Joni's resignation prompted a period of reflection, not only for her family, but also for the millions of viewers who had followed Daystar's rise over the years. From its humble beginnings to its growth into one of the largest Christian broadcasting networks in the world, Daystar had become a beacon of faith and inspiration for many. However, the recent controversies, ranging from accusations of abuse and intimidation to financial mismanagement, have cast a shadow over the network's legacy. For some, these scandals raised questions about the integrity of the organization that had been built with such care and vision by Joni and her late husband, Marcus Lamb. Despite these challenges, Joni's belief in the power of faith remained steadfast. "Marcus and I have always believed in the power of faith, and I am certain that God has a plan for Daystar, even if it is not with me at the helm," she said. Her confidence that the network would continue its mission, even in her absence, provided a glimmer of hope for many who had supported the Lambs throughout the years. Yet for others, her resignation raised concerns about what the future would hold for Daystar, as the organization faced its deepest crisis to date. Moving forward, healing and family priorities. For Joni, stepping down marked the beginning of a new chapter, one focused on healing and family. In her farewell remarks, she made it clear that her decision was driven by a need to protect her family and prioritize their well-being. "I know this isn't the end," she said, offering a sense of hope for the future. "It's just a new beginning. And I trust that God will guide us through this season, just as He has guided us through so many others." Joni's decision to step back was a personal one, rooted in the desire to care for herself and her loved ones amidst the chaos surrounding Daystar. While her resignation signaled the end of an era for the network, it also marked the beginning of a new phase for Joni and her family. In many ways, her departure highlighted the difficult balance between personal and professional obligations that leaders in faith-based organizations often face. Public reaction. A mixed response. Joni's resignation elicited a range of reactions from the public. For some, her decision to prioritize her family was seen as an act of courage and wisdom. Many viewers expressed sympathy for her situation, acknowledging the immense pressure she had been under as the leader of Daystar. Comments on social media platforms reflected admiration for Joni's strength and resilience, with many expressing their gratitude for the positive impact Daystar had had on their lives. However, for others, Joni's resignation raised concerns about the future of the network. The controversies surrounding Daystar had shaken the trust of some of its supporters, and there was a growing desire for greater transparency and accountability within the organization. Viewers voiced their concerns about the need for the network to address the allegations more openly and to restore the integrity that had been tarnished by recent revelations. As the controversy surrounding Daystar continued to unfold, the public's interest in the outcome remained strong. The ongoing legal battles, the claims of abuse and intimidation, and the network's financial practices were all central to the broader debate about the role of faith-based organizations in holding themselves accountable to their communities. Joni's resignation had sparked a renewed sense of urgency among many viewers who were calling for action and reform to ensure that the network could continue its mission with integrity. A new beginning. Daystar's path forward. Joni Lamb's departure from Daystar marked a pivotal moment in the network's history. As she stepped away from her leadership role, the path forward for the organization became uncertain. Daystar now faces the daunting task of rebuilding trust, addressing the serious allegations against it, and navigating the fallout from its founder's resignation. For Joni, however, her decision to leave her position was not a sign of defeat, but a step toward healing for her family. In the wake of her resignation, it remains to be seen how Daystar will address the numerous challenges it faces. The network will need to reconcile its legacy with the need for transparency and accountability. For many viewers, the question is not only about the future of Daystar, but also about the future of faith-based organizations in general. As the Lamb family embarks on this new chapter, the public's expectations for Daystar's leadership and its response to the ongoing controversies will shape the network's legacy in the years to come. Conclusion: faith, courage, and the road ahead. Joni Lamb's resignation marks the end of an era for Daystar Television Network, but it also marks the beginning of a new phase in the Lamb family's journey. Her decision to step down was a courageous one, driven by a desire to prioritize her family's well-being amidst the challenges that have engulfed the network. Her farewell address served as a poignant reminder of the human side of leadership and the sacrifices it often demands. As Joni steps away from the spotlight, the future of Daystar remains uncertain, but the legacy of Marcus and Joni's vision for the network will continue to inspire many. Moving forward, Daystar must confront the issues that have come to light and work toward restoring the trust of its viewers and supporters. The road ahead will require faith, courage, and a commitment to truth. For Joni, her journey is one of healing and reflection, guided by the belief that God will lead her through this new season, just as He has guided her in the past.